Okay, so the purpose of this experiment is to determine the practicality of injecting steam into burning carbon to produce a usable amount of hydrogen gas. This is called the water gas shift reaction, and it's an endothermic reaction, which means it absorbs energy. Now, there are videos on YouTube of people doing this with their charcoal gasifiers, but you'll notice one thing about these videos. After several seconds, no longer than 60 seconds that I've seen, they'll cut the video off and go to a different section or a different topic. And I'm starting to figure out the reason why you can't find any videos on YouTube of a continuous water gas shift reaction on a charcoal gasifier is because it does not work. I've built several devices that have attempted this reaction, and in every one, to generate a usable amount of hydrogen gas, you cause a detrimental loss of combustion of the carbon because of the endothermic nature of the steam. The steam doesn't only cool down the charcoal, it doesn't only remove oxygen from areas that could have been occupied, but it also absorbs actual thermal energy from a chemical nature from the combusting charcoal. So it's almost better than dumping water on it. Said in another way, it's literally equivalent to dumping water on it. That's how endothermic it is. And we're going to see that again. This is going to be the second test that I've run on this, and we're going to observe the effects of a small amount of steam injection into a container of combusting carbon, or charcoal in this case. And the ash layer is going to be continually knocked off of the combusting particles by a cyclone that's going to be induced by this little coil of copper that we see there. That is an air line, and it's going to induce the cyclone. And this here is a small boiler that is going to be providing the steam. The steam will exit this nozzle until we're ready to inject, but it'll give us kind of a visual observation of just how much steam is being injected into this system. And from the literature that I have read way back in the 1930s, when this process was very usable, they always heated up a large vat of Coke, like a huge room, like 15 by 10 foot tall or something like that. They heated up to red hot levels, and then they would close some valves, and then they would blast steam through it and use the hydrogen from that. They never used a continuous combustion system. And I'm starting to come to that conclusion that it's the reason they didn't do it is because it's just not possible. It's not possible for on-demand fuel, that is. Now, if you're delving into the Fischer-Tropsch process, which uses a iron catalyst reaction to convert carbon monoxide and hydrogen into a liquid fuel, this process may be viable. So we're not going to completely shoot it down, but from these small experiments that I've done and from my benchtop gasifier testing that I've done, anytime you inject hydrogen into a carbon fire, you get an initial usable burst of hydrogen gas. Subsequent to that, a detrimental effect takes place to the combustion, which will nearly extinguish the whole process. Or it reduces it to a state that is no longer capable of producing usable amounts of hydrogen under on-demand circumstance. It may still continually be producing hydrogen gas, but without expensive electronics and things of that nature, it's just not going to be observable. I do have a CO meter in place for this test. I do have 2 vent fans that will be exhausting the discharge from this experiment. So under no circumstances should you try this in a garage. It will kill you. Copious amounts of CO gas are produced in this reaction. So if you've made it through this, then you are an amazing individual to sit here and listen to all this. But here we go. We're going to just start the reaction, and we're going to watch and see what I'm talking about. And I think this may be a nail in the coffin for an on-demand process. Like I said, it may only be viable for a Fischer-Tropsch reaction which I may be investigating because I am interested in producing a liquid fuel of some kind rather than an on-demand system, and there are a lot of reasons for that. Power loss being the main constituent, but I'm gonna shut up. Let's just get this on. Very weird. Can't even get the thing lit this time, imagine that. Maybe it is, it's too bright. Oh. Yeah, the damn thing's been lit this whole time. There goes some steam injection. Wow, that dims it down pretty good. That's a lot of steam right there. I'll turn the steam off. That's with the steam off. Turn the steam back on. And I'm that's pretty interesting. Steam on just a little bit there. I'm getting any flammable gas. Damn it. Try it this way. Might be too much steam in the gas still, I don't know. Either way, this beaker has held up far better. I think I need to just turn the lights off next time. That thing was running the whole time and I couldn't tell. Pretty crazy. So, two things could be happening. I might be getting too much steam in here. I don't know for sure. And that's why the gas won't burn. Or I just don't have enough reactant burning at once. Maybe I need to add more fuel next time. Because that, I got nothing to light off of this burner here, which is just a spiral. Ooh, it is awfully hot. Definitely gonna have to try this test again. Just about burn out. Once again, pretty cool with a total failure. I was hoping that by injecting steam in there, the red hot carbon would react with it. That is not what happened at all. Man, that glass is hot. I really need to get out of here. Only got one vent blower going. There you have it. I'm going to try it again with some more coal, some more charcoal, I'm sorry, and a better steam injection. Okay, so even at about 123 psi's, I'm still not getting the bright red reactions as before. I don't know what's going on. This thing should be extremely bright right now. It's gotta be wet charcoal. Very strange. I'll turn down the flow a little bit. Yeah, I think it's just so diluted with the carbon dioxide that it's just not going to burn bright. Doesn't really make a flammable gas or nothing. It's putting off a lot of heat. You can start to feel it. Looks like I got some burning up top there. Something's going on, it shouldn't be. Oh, great. There's a meltdown here. Burning metal. Gotta stop that. So, either way, something's up. I'm having trouble getting a good bright burn. So a lot of it is lit. It's just not burning very brightly. I'm going to turn it up now. About 100 psi's. For whatever reason, you just can't see that it's burning this time around. See if any gas is coming off of that. Nothing I can burn. So oddly, oops. Strange. You can barely see it. I'm going to try and turn these lights in a certain way here. Or just that one. Okay. You can see that it's burning now. I'm going to I don't know if you can see the amount of steam coming out though. It's not much steam. I'm going to open the steam valve. I have to close the other valve for steam to go through that. You can see it's getting extinguished pretty good. Okay, that pretty much shut it off all the way. Brightening up. Some of them are. That's with the steam injection. No flammable gas. Yeah, I wanted to let it get lit back up. This beaker's holding out a lot better than the last one. Okay, I'm going to close this and inject some steam now. And steam instantly shuts it down. Turn steam off. Let it recover a second. Turn the steam down. Our input pressure is right around 100 psi is going through that little coil. Okay, shutting steam. Let it heat back up. Let's see if we get a gas here. If it blows up, I'm lucky. And nothing. No observable flame. Just to elaborate a little bit on the topic of steam injection and charcoal gasification, this little test device is something that I built that took a tremendous amount of effort to put together. And basically what it is a combustion chamber for carbon. And at the bottom here you see this little connection point are 4 little steam jets. You see one of them right there. There's a bolt going through. That's the ignition port right there. I would take that bolt out to ignite it because it did have the actual steam jets, that little plug sticking out. You can barely see that one. There's 4 of them. It's a quadra array of jets of steam. Now this combustion chamber would operate at red hot temperatures on its own, so I determined that it might be feasible to wrap it in a coil and produce some pretty hot steam. Well, the sad story was the steam that exited from these ejectors, I think it only got to around 400 to 500 degrees. I want to say it was degrees. It was the limits of this device here, and it was like 570 or something like this. That was the only thermocouple that I had available. So it's actually very cold outside. That's because I'm heating this place. That's why I'm doing this experiment inside like an idiot, because it's just very cold. But anyway, you've seen this design online, I'm sure, before, and it's kind of like something that a lot of gasifiers have possibly fantasized about building. And there's even a video of one of these things actually operating. But as I said, you'll notice one thing about these videos. They will always cut the video within seconds of the introduction of the process. And the big secret behind that is, apparently, is that the process is not sustainable. In order to produce usable amounts of hydrogen gas, you have to inject a detrimental amount of steam, meaning that the charcoal combustion will be extinguished nearly completely, only barely remaining lit. And we're going to observe that with our eyes in this experiment today, to show you just how powerful injecting steam can be on the extinguishing of the charcoal combustion. You would think the oxygen would allow it to pull through, but it's essentially the same as spraying water on it. And that's what we're going to look at. So I have videos of this device in operation that's called benchtop gasifier testing or something like that. There's several videos of this thing. Now this device did teach me a couple of things about gasification. One of them being that downdraft is a bad idea. It clogs itself up. Maybe it's just because this thing was so small, but if you're doing this in downdraft where the flame is shooting out this way, it just is a bad idea. The ash and the slag and all that and stuff will eventually clog up any little ports. Now, for whatever reason, in updraft, perhaps it's because this stuff is constantly being flushed out this way, the combustion takes place at a much higher level and the device does not clog. So it appears that an updraft state of combustion would definitely optimize the combustion rate in any design that you were to deploy. At either rate, I cut this thing open just to observe the effects of copper being subjected to the torture of this process. Not sure how long this thing would have lasted. It probably only ran for mere hours. You know, maybe 10 hours if that. I do have a lot of footage of this thing. But enough about that. I just wanted to show you what we're looking at here. This would have a big tank on top of it to provide it with the charcoal or carbon pellets, whatever you were running it. And in these tests, I determined that injecting steam is not a viable option if you're using it for an on-demand process. If you're going to use it to supply a Fischer-Tropsch device, it may be fantastic. So now my next course of action is to consider building a combustion chamber with an annular array of nozzles that are connected to a rotary valve that periodically spray a zone to produce a continuous stream of usable hydrogen. It just might not be possible. In the old days, they didn't do it for a reason, I'm thinking, because it doesn't work. Because nowhere in old text will you find where they did that. They always shut the air off after they heated up the chamber, shot steam through it until it cooled down enough for the reaction to stop, and then they would turn the air baffles back on and they would heat it back up again. They always cycled it. They never did it on a continuous running operation, and I'm starting to see why.